day! In this video I'm going to introduce you to OBS and the video series aimed at educators in higher education. So if you ever wanted to spruce up your online teaching and recordings, then keep watching this video series. Hi, my name is Gerd Christanl. I'm an online educator and learning technologist at the University of Greenwich in London, United Kingdom. I share tips, how-tos and tutorials to help you build your digital skills for your online and hybrid teaching needs. If you want to stay in the loop, hit that subscribe button below and turn on notifications to avoid missing new videos released on this channel. Cheers! With that said, let's roll. I'm going to give you an overview of this video series on using OBS in higher education for streaming via video conferencing platforms like Microsoft Teams or Zoom, or for recording online lectures. Our main focus will be on using the virtual camera feature in OBS, but we will all cover aspects of streaming and recording at the same time. So what are we going to cover today? Today we're going to cover what is actually OBS, why do I need it for my online teaching, how do I use OBS in a blended learning environment or HyFlex environment in class and from home, what basic setup of scenes will we go for in this video series, and an overview of what's to come in this video series. So what is OBS? OBS is the common abbreviation for Open Broadcaster Software Studio, and is an open source application to stream and record videos with a lot of flexibility in what you can show and do on screen for your audience, namely your students. It is the quasi-standard for YouTubers and video game streamers, and allows a wide range of engaging features to keep your audience, your students, or anyone else who chooses to watch your videos or participate in your online lectures and seminars engaged. Used right, it can become a vessel for your on-screen personality. And the best thing about it, it is absolutely free of charge. So, why would you need this for your online teaching? You might have been quite happy with using Teams and Panopto or Zoom in your online teaching. You were happy that you got this going, that it worked, and you didn't want to bother with this much more than it was necessary to. We all know how intimidating technology can be, especially as we were thrown into that pretty much at the deep end. So, think back to last year though. Did your screen look like this? What happened when you, for instance, shared your content using Teams? You disappeared from the screen, basically. In Teams, you're relegated down, and in Zoom, your camera view is popped up on top of the content. But you're basically disappearing from the main focus, from the main screen. Your students could not see you, the educator, anymore. Especially a problem for students who heavily rely on the lip reading. I personally felt restricted with what I could do and not do on screen, and OBS helped me to gain full control over what I could actually do on my screen, including the use of multiple windows next to one another, multiple cameras at the same time on the very same screen, different audio sources. For instance, if you want to play some music to your students at the beginning of a session or during a break or at the end of a session, it's a nice intro or outro or intermission. All of this is possible with OBS. There's very few limits to what you can actually do with it. This is both boon and bane, because at first you have a pretty much a blank canvas of what you can do. And this video series is supposed to help you get going on that path towards using OBS in your online teaching and recordings. It will improve the quality of your live online recordings, it will improve your online teaching, and it can give it life and personality. So, how to use OBS in a blended learning environment? Well, OBS is ideal in a blended or even high-flex teaching and learning environment. For example, I have used OBS for hands-on demonstrations using an overhead camera whilst I still appear on screen, with me as a talking head in the bottom left corner. I have used it to teach my courses, my modules, accounting information systems, enterprise resource planning systems, which require a lot of show and tell. I have used it in class to record live sessions with predefined screen setups. And it is ideal to set up a high-flex teaching environment where you teach to in-class and online students at the same time, because you can put yourself, you can put your in-class students, if there's a camera pointed at them, and you can put your online students on one screen. You're creating one class with screen design. This is great. This improves the experience of everyone if done right. Your online audience would not feel excluded or as a separate entity to your teaching and to the learning. Group activities might be better facilitated, at least initially, before you go into features like breakout rooms or similar. And of course, it will improve your recordings of these sessions as well for later reference. So this is all possible then within one single screen. So what are we aiming for at the end of the basic video series? We're aiming for a basic setup that will have us do 3 scenes. A scene is basically, just to explain briefly, a scene it's an individual group of sources like a video camera, audio, windows, etc. on the same screen for particular purposes. Yeah, and the 3 scenes will be as follows. The first scene you see right here. That's basically me against a background. Now please note that I'm using a green screen. There will be a separate video on how to do green screen in OBS. But what we will do is that we have a main screen with you in that screen, as well as some kind of background that you might be adapting. You can of course choose to also not have a background and actually use the background that you have in your home office. So that is the first scene that we're gonna create throughout this video series. The second one looks a little bit like this. If you want to have some content, but you also want to be on the screen, then we have something like this. Yeah, so here I'm in the bottom left corner. I can also choose to be in the bottom right corner. My video here can be larger or smaller than what you see here on screen. So again, full flexibility. And you see that here in the background, I have a slide set open, which I can also change very easily to any other content that I might want to bring in. This could be a video, this could be a web browser, it could be anything of the above. Yeah? And easily to switch between. And the third scene is, let's call it the optional scene. That's the overhead camera scene. Looks like something like this. So I remain on screen. Again, I can be as large or small or whatever position on the screen that I want. At the same time, you see my desk, tidied it up for the occasion, and of course put the keyboard away, and then you can do some hands-on demonstrations. For instance, what I did was, in my accounting information systems course, I was teaching the difference between the data and information using Lego bricks. So the students saw me do something, they saw me talking and doing something with my hands. So it helps you develop a concept, for instance, with Lego bricks. Or I also did in management accounting, I did a break-even graph and developing that, drawing it manually on a piece of paper in front of the students. The students saw me apply the concepts directly, develop it, which is much better than actually showing it on a slide and say, here, there's the graph. So these are the 3 scenes we're going to set up. Of course, I'm fully aware that you might not have a second webcam, at least not now. And I highly recommend that you get one eventually. And of course, you need to have an opportunity to position the webcam permanently or temporarily the second webcam, so it points down on your desk, so you can actually show that and do something with it. So if you choose to only do the first two scenes, the main scene and the scene with content, it is entirely your choice to do the third one with me or not, depending on your individual hardware setup. Of course, all of this might look different on your end, because very often it depends on your setup in the home office, your hardware, your software, and similar. But you see, that's the beauty of it. OBS allows you to be that individual, to adapt it to your needs, to adapt it to your students' needs, for instance. What is it now that we're going to cover in this video series? We're going to cover a few things in this video series. First and foremost, I will show you where to get OBS Studio free of charge and how to check if you have the correct system requirements to do so. We'll also introduce you to the plain interface of OBS Studio, what's what, where you can find specific things, and we're going to go more and deeper into settings, basic settings initially. Yeah, so the most basic settings without inundating you with technical nitty-gritty detail that we might not need at that stage. For that, we have time later on. We're gonna also look at two of the most important hardwares that we have for our recordings, for our online live teaching. Apart, of course, from the computer is the microphone and, of course, the webcam. So we're gonna have a look at those individually, how to set them up so they look good, even great, depending on what kind of hardware you are able to get your hands on. And then we are going more into the pedagogy of using OBS with your teaching, where we combine OBS and screen design considerations with a lesson plan. For that, I will use a sample lesson plan. Your lesson plans will be very individual, but it gives you an idea how to actually combine what you heard so far with OBS. And we might be using that whilst we're setting up our 3 scenes. And finally, how to then get what you've created, the great stuff that you've created in OBS, the scenes and the sources and everything feeding in and everything's ready to go, ready to be recorded or ready to be delivered live. How to get that into software that our students are linked to, such as Microsoft Teams, such as Zoom. So we'll show you that too. The basic video series will be followed by an ongoing series of advanced videos that will focus on specific aspects, on improving the basic setup, on how to make things better. I believe it is better to build on the basics instead of going full in and then basically making you turn away from OBS because it looks so intimidating. I don't want that. I want you to use OBS. I want you to enjoy this rich, feature-rich software and what you can do with it. Now, over to you. Question of the day, as usual in my videos. What uses for OBS can you already envisage in your own online teaching, live or in your recordings? Comment below and let me know. If you have any questions about anything I mentioned in this video, feel free to leave a comment below. By the way, if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell to get the latest tips and tricks and tutorials to help you build your digital learning presence. Thanks for watching, and as always, stay hungry for new skills. Bye!